sorry, can you repeat the question?
Both an Eastern Orthodox and a Baptist have the access to an objective truth claim that 2 + 2 = 4. Are you saying that only the Orthodox person in the given scenario can ground that claim?
Under their view of God, yes.
Okay, cool. So you are in fact saying that objective truth cannot be grounded outside of Eastern Orthodoxy.
Outside of the Eastern Orthodox understanding of the Trinity, yes.
Beautiful. Were you infallible when you found that out?
No.
So you could be wrong about the statement you just made.
No, and I know that by way of negation.
Okay. So were you infallible when you went about the means of negation in order to come about this truth?
Can you define infallible?
You were incapable of making any error.
No human is incapable of making any error.
Beautiful. So when you went along the path of, through the way of negation, obtaining the truth that only the Eastern Orthodox can objectively ground objective truth, could you have been wrong when you did that?
Yes, but that doesn't prove me wrong because that would be a tu quoque fallacy.
We'll pause.
Because I'm not the only one who believes that.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, this is what I'm saying. You have an epistemic issue that you could have possibly been wrong when you use the by way of negation of reasoning that only
my reasoning.
Orthodox.
Yes, I grant you that my reasoning could be wrong. However,
don't spurg out. Just listen to what I'm saying so you can actually properly interact with me. Just listen to me. Because I just stepped you through this. I'm just giving you a summary so you actually know what you're dealing with. You just told us that you might have been wrong when you went about the process through negation of obtaining the truth that only the Eastern Orthodox worldview can say ground the objective truth of, for example, 2 + 2 = 4.
I said my reasoning. You asked me if I was infallible. Could my reasoning have been wrong? And I said, yes, my reasoning can be wrong at any point. My own reasoning.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So therefore, when you went through this entire process epistemically, which is what you're trying to ground right now, on an epistemological level, we don't know if you're right. We have no way to prove you're right.
No, that's not what I said, because you still have to give an account for my position, regardless of whether my own reasoning is flawed. It doesn't. My reasoning could be wrong, and it wouldn't still make my position false.
Your reasoning could be wrong.
The truth value of my position is not dependent on my own infallibility. I disagree with that presupposition.
Okay. Well, one question. Without reasoning or interpretation, could you access the conclusion that you've come to here?
Without reason or interpretation? Yes, it could be divinely revealed.
So, define divinely revealed.
Revealed by God to an individual.
Beautiful. So, you're going to tell us in the room that it wasn't through reasoning or interpretation, but
I didn't say
through
it was
some
divinely revealed to me.
Okay, perfect.
I said it could be. I said to any one person outside of their own reason or logic, it could still be divinely revealed to them.
That's fine.
Any truth claim could be divinely revealed to someone.
Okay, did you reach this conclusion without reasoning?
No, I reached it through my own fallible reasoning. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, and therefore, it could be wrong, correct?
No, I don't believe it. My own reasoning being fallible. My own reasoning being fallible does not make my claim false.
Is your reasoning infallible?
No, and I already said that.
Is your reasoning inerrant?
No, and I already said that.
And you used reasoning to access this truth, correct?
Yes.
Okay, bro. So you could be wrong about all of this.
No, because it can also be revealed divinely.
Okay. Okay. Was it revealed to you divinely?
No.
Was it real? Did you access
Hold
this
on.
through reasoning?
Hold on. Could I ask you a question? So your
No.
presupposition you're making, hold on. The presupposition that your
I
your
said
line of
no.
questioning.
No.
Okay.
You asked me if you could
No,
ask
I'm
a
going to
question. I said
ask you a
no.
question. The
You
presupposition
said, or
of
you
your
asked
line
me
of
though.
questioning. Hold on, brother. If you want to
No,
give
why'd
me
you
a line of
ask?
questioning, I'm okay with that. You're
Well,
welcome
why'd
to.
you ask it?
Hold
Well,
on.
why'd you ask if you weren't actually going to listen to the answer? I said no.
So hold on. Your presupposition is not that reasoning. Excuse me. That a claim is only true because the person's reason is infallible.
I don't know why you're asking me a question when you asked me. Can I ask you a question? I said no.
Hold on. You didn't even listen to my question when you said no.
Correct. Yeah, correct. You asked me, can you ask me a question? Can I? And I said no.
Okay, well, I would say that I'm not going to answer any questions until you'll at least respond to one of mine.
That's fine. I don't need any more questions answered from you because I already got my conclusion.
Yeah.
I can just fill it out right here.
Yeah.
This
So
guy
my
in the room,
answer. Hold on. My answer is that you made a presupposition in your line of questioning that a claim is only true if the person who made it is infallible, and that is a fallacy.
gotcha.
That's
And
called
did
a
my
true quote.
conclusion? Well, that's fine. I'll just make my conclusion too if that's yours. So my conclusion is this: this guy is telling everybody in the room that they can't ground any truth, but every truth that he's accessed in his life, he could have been wrong about, according to his own logic.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot, even the concept of God in orthodoxy itself changed over time.
Can you prove that?
So we'll just have to bring forth the Westminster Confession.
He just knows.
That's not what I said. So, by the way, the begging the question fallacy is when you say something's true because it's true. And that's not what I said. I said I know it's true by way of negation. That the opposite is not true, therefore, the opposite of that is true. Because something can only be true or false. In that epistemic sense. That claim can either be true or false. So if the opposite is false, then the opposite of that claim is true.
I'm pretty sure the way of negation is speaking about what God is not. Has nothing to do with what worldview is true.
Way of negation is a statement that has an opposite. So if I say I'm trying to give an example of something that's true or false. The sky is, I'm observing the sky to be a blue. Okay, the sky is blue. Let's just take for a second this statement. If I say that that is a true statement, the sky is blue, it's probably a bad example considering it's actually not blue. It's, some shade of violet. But still, if you follow me with the example, if I say that it's blue and you show that it's not, you show that it's some other color than blue, that shows that my claim is false.
Right, and you're presupposing the sky is orthodoxy.
No, that's not what I said.
Yeah, you're not
the way of
gaslighting.
negation.
We know there's no way. You know that's
the way of
objectively a truth, and you're a liar.
Hold on.
But I know you don't know that.
Hold on. I said the way of negation is to say a statement is true because its logical opposite is not true. How is that? That
doesn't make way of negation doesn't necessitate orthodoxy is true.
At the epistemic level, the question that I posed to you, you could not give an answer to. You could not give a justification for your own knowledge, and that makes my claim true by way of negation.
No, it doesn't, dude.
Okay, but you didn't show how it wasn't, so okay.
Dude, everyone knows God. Dude, everyone knows God didn't speak in your bedroom. Yeah, it's the Orthodox Church. It's true. You're using reasoning.
I never claimed you did.
Right, it's your little pea brain and eyes looking at data and presupposing it.
No.
Yeah, it is.
I already told you why that's not true, but you're gonna make the claim. And I would actually challenge the presupposition of that claim, which is that you can only know things by empirical data. I disagree with that.
I don't believe that either. It's one way
Okay,
to
so
know.
what
There's
is
many
your-
ways of knowing. Empirical is the main way today, but there's also an inner knowing, which is something I believe with the soul. Like when I brought up, how do we know what is morally wrong? And Socrates says to look within the conscience. There's a certain other type of knowing within.
Okay, so how do you give a justification for why that claim is true outside of your mind as opposed to someone else's?
You'd have to demonstrate and go through reasoning, like certain laws and stuff, why they're justified if there's no contradiction or fallacy.
Hold on. So how do you, other than through your so how do you give an account outside of both of your lines of reasoning? Because you're applying the laws of logic to it. How do you even give an account outside of that line of questioning or the questions that you would pose to that person? How do you give an account outside of that for the very knowledge claim on its own, outside of proving that the just another claim is false?
Yeah, there's no way to put under a microscope, hey, this moral idea is objective fact.
Okay, now we're arguing circularly. So I've already made my claim, and it's one that poses the question: how do you know? How do you give an epistemic justification for your own claim, and you've not been able to do it? So,
And I was critiquing your presupposition, and you keep
and
moving
I
on
was,
to me.
yeah, I already posed you the
Yeah.
question. I'm saying that if you can't give a coherent worldview of your own, then your own worldview falls short.
How do you know I can't?
Because
Because
I
you
asked
haven't.
you and you couldn't.
That's gonna be a whole. Yeah, I said about morals.
Yeah, and I said that morals are grounded in metaphysics, and you couldn't give an epistemological
prove that.
justification.
Prove that they're grounded in metaphysics.
Okay, when you say that something is, or you make an ought claim, you're saying that something ought to be this way because that is good. An ought claim is by definition a claim of what is good. And an ought claim is a metaphysical claim. Every ought claim is a metaphysical claim because you're making a statement about what is true in the world. And then how you know that that is true is an epistemic claim, which you could not give an account for. You said that it was getting close to the truth, or like you said with morality. Yeah, so it's a spectrum of truth.
Yes, we.
And I'm saying that is not a. Yeah, and I'm saying that I would disagree with that because that does not allow you to give a justification of your own position.
No, I think you collapse into a fallacy of question begging.
Okay, so I already demonstrated how it's not question begging because I said that there's a difference between saying it's true because it's true and saying it's true because the opposite is false.
You said the way of negation. Like you're gonna say.
Yes, the opposite is false, therefore the opposite of that is true.
Okay, so Roman Catholicism is true because of the way of negation, and Orthodoxy is false.
Okay, so you have to demonstrate how that on its own merit is true.
Like
So-
you
so-
have to, dumbass.
so
I mean,
you
this
have
is
to
why this
show-
whole thing's flawed, dude.
You can't. The reason you can't do that with Roman Catholicism is because at the ontological level, you have a flaw in your understanding of the Trinity. That's
Oh my
so.
God.
I would point out that your
this
own.
is all question begging, dude. You already presupposed that's the right
No,
view of
because
the
I
Trinity.
didn't. You
Yeah, you
said
do.
in the system of Roman Catholicism. So you said it yourself. You said that is your view of the Trinity
I
because you said
can't
you
do it.
believe in
I
Roman
can't
Catholicism.
do it. This is just straight up precept contradiction.
Brother, you said let's just say you gave the example of what if I were to make the same claim for Roman Catholicism against Eastern Orthodoxy, and I said that wouldn't work because of your ontology. So your claim would be false, and that would mean that
Yeah, if the
it doesn't
filioque-
automatically. That wouldn't automatically make Eastern Orthodoxy true, though. That's not what I said.
Dude, this
I
is
said
all
that
a
if you were to
mess,
make
dude.
that, because I'm not saying if you pin two worldviews together and one of them is false, that makes the other true. That's not what I said. I said when you pin this worldview specifically against the three starting positions of all epistemology that all of these
That you
worldviews
don't
are
know
grounded
about.
on,
You
and
don't
those
know
fall
that.
short, then it makes
You
mine
don't
true.
know that. That's a hasty generalization fallacy, and you don't know other worldviews.
And
That's
I'm
racist.
literally
Once again, that's
just going to
why.
be
Yeah, I know.
repeating my claim from before that they're all
Yeah,
based
it's
on
retarded.
the same
It's stupid.
three.
Yeah,
Okay,
you made this
yeah.
up in your bedroom. No one believes that you objectively know all this stuff.
Hey, Mystic, can we know your worldview if you share it with us?
Yeah, for one, I didn't sleep and I'm tired, so I'll stick on how I think morals can head towards objectivity. I think we can look within the conscience, but I'm not going to lay out a whole system right now. Way
Okay.
too tired.
So why can't his position be true?
I was just pointing out that it's flawed reason that say, hey, all other worldviews, even though I don't know other worldviews, are false, and mine's true because of the way of negation.
I got a question because I came in a little bit late. Is Psyche saying that his worldview would be true because every other worldview would be negated from his worldview?
No, that's not what I said. I said that every worldview, so ethics, metaphysics, and
Right.
epistemology, is grounded
Yeah.
in the same three ideas. And I'm saying that every other worldview cannot give a valid justification of those three things under their premises. They cannot give a valid justification. And so therefore mine is right because I can give a valid justification.
You're
Okay.
presupposing they can't. That's so stupid.
I asked you specifically for yours and you couldn't give me one. And I also showed
That
I
wouldn't
also
matter.
sh-
We could actually both be false because I'm not an absolutist. I'm not a presupper. I go with data, which seems to be the most plausible. I'm gonna head towards that. I don't believe like this presup objectives thing, dude. I think
okay,
it's a question about
we'll have to agree to disagree then because
Alright.
I've already presented the argument and you've already presented yours and
Yeah.
we're now repeating the questions. So
So you just said you dislike precept. Got it. Thanks. Mystic.
Yeah, okay, Roman Catholicism's true because it's true by the way of negation.
What?
okay, so can you demonstrate for me how the ontology of the Roman Catholic understanding of the Trinity, so specifically that ontology, why I couldn't just swap that with, say, the Oriental Orthodox understanding of God, which holds to divine simplicity, not the Thomistic absolute divine simplicity, why it wouldn't also work for the Oriental Orthodox understanding
Anytime
of
you
the
say,
Trinity.
hey, we have to start demonstrating things, which you are also going to have to demonstrate orthodoxy, then it's going to get really into just like you observing certain data and what you see and you think is true over the other position.
That's your presupposition because
So
you
that's
are
reality,
grounded
dude.
in.
Like I know you don't have a
You just
special
made an
magic wand in your bedroom,
yeah.
dude.
That is reality. That's a metaphysical claim that you just grounded in
Dude, I
empirical
know you
evidence.
don't know it's objectively true. You're a liar. I know you can't. The human brain doesn't have that knowledge.
Okay, you just presuppose that.
Right.
You just presuppose you do because you observe orthodoxy and
No,
study data.
because you said that I made a begging the question fallacy. I never said that it's true because it's true.
That's what it is.
I said
Freak.
no. I did
It's
not
true
say that.
because of the way of negation,
I said
whatever.
it's
It's
true.
still
I
begging
said
the
it's
question.
true. I said it's true because the opposite is false.
That's still
How is that
begging the
wrong?
question.
Okay.
Because you're presupposing all
I never
opposites
said.
are false. You're
What did I
presupposing
say?
all opposites are false when you don't even know all opposites. You presuppose all of them are false by the way of negation, and you're making a
They're-
knowledge claim that you don't even know that they're false. And
That
you're
would
just
be
saying,
true if I was not
that-
speaking of the core of their epistemology.
how do
I was
you
speaking
know?
of
Okay, if you don't know a worldview, how do you say it's false?
because the underlying presupposition of their view is
I'm done,
the
dude.
three. I already told you this before. It's the three underlying epistemic views of reality. All right. Thanks for talking.
Sorry, Mystic. You're not the only one that's lacking sleep right now. then I have a power outage, and it sucks.
Dang.
Hey, Kyrgos.
So shouldn't you conserve your phone battery for an emergency?
No.
No,
I have
because he's Kyrgos.
Yeah, I have plenty of power banks. I got enough charge